The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Riff Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Becon in the dark for you. Reach out, grab that spark. Wisdom waits in silent hues. Find your path out of the dark. Thursday night, the time is near. Guidance shines at 9:30. Eastern winds will draw you here. Hearts and minds no longer blurry. Your fate lies in your own hands. Wisdom flows like desert sands. Knowledge hidden in plain sight. Reach for it with all your might.
I know it's been a whole half hour. You guys must totally miss me. How you doing? Anyways, this is Sue, or should I say Susan? We just did destiny numbers. I got to learn to use the name. I don't know. So welcome back, guys, to Speaking in the Dark, the second half hour of your crazy old lady. How you doing? Or second hour. So tonight we have a really awesome guest, and I'm going to talk about him in a second, but I want to say don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all of the awesome Riff Nation Network channels. It is definitely the place to be. And don't forget to, share. Sharing is caring, guys. Sharing is caring. So share us out as well. So tonight, Uncharted Realms. Don't forget Uncharted Realms on Friday. So come see the girls. That's going to be an awesome show as well. So tonight, we're actually going to be talking to Steve Biff Saunders. And I like to call him, after watching some of his videos and things he does, I decided to take this on a different avenue. So we're going to get to know him and who he is and why he does what he does. And what I like to call him is, he does like spiritual warfare with like a twist of helping with people. Yeah. That's what we're going to say. So we're going to actually pull him on right now. He's probably just seeing, oh, yeah, I picked the right show. She's as goofy as I am. Hey, what's up, Biff?
What's happening, young lady?
I'm doing good. You can call me young lady all you want, but I'm the old broad of the bunch, and I love it. So, how are you doing this fine and awesome evening?
I've been drained this past week. I guess pushing myself out there and finally stepping further into the light is bringing on what I would call the opposition and their further attacks and pushing. But
Very
it is what
draining.
it is.
Yes, it
It comes
is.
with the
It's very
territory.
draining. So I've watched a lot of your videos and what you do to assist so many people. Okay. And I know, and I'm going to say it off the bat, guys, there's been controversy over this. And you know what? Don't care. We're going to get to know who he is. We're going to explain this whole story from the beginning so everybody can get to know the true man behind what he does. We're going to understand why he does what he does. And I put that right out there. Okay, because you know me. I'm straightforward. I'm straight talk. Michelle Caps, what's up, girl? Michelle Wolfong, how are you doing, guys? Thank you back for this next hour here. So we're gonna start from the beginning. Okay, I know my story in itself started at like 3. So I want to know how young. I mean, I I know what you do from your videos, but how did this actually become an avenue for you? When did this start? Was it like elementary school? Was it teenage? When did these things start you becoming aware of this stuff?
Well, I first started becoming aware with the gift of sight. I'm guessing about the age of 4 because my next round of sisters was not born yet, so they weren't there. So I'm attributing to the age of 4. I had a room and I would see what is called the dark shadow people. And I would tell my mother, tuck me in really, really tight. And I'd get on my back and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, tuck me in really, really tight. She's like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah. She goes, you realize you got a bottom bunk, right? I'm like, yeah. So I, I,
Wow.
I scooted myself up onto the top bunk, watched the dark shadow things move around. My defense mechanism in my mind, because you need to have your strength to sleep, you have to strengthen your mind. So the first defense mechanism I did for my mind was every night I'd put myself to sleep picking up elephants in a circus. You can't mess with me. I'm the strongest kid in the world. So that was my mental fortitude.
That makes sense because I had one of my kids has my gifts, and
Mhm.
what I did was I bought him a wolf because my kids are like part native, so I gave him a wolf, and I told him this is your guardian. You can call your guardian. He'll be a real wolf, and he's always going to be there to guard you. So when he sleep, he used to pull the wolf out. So the elephants make sense because that's what you were attached to. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what happened with these shadow people? What were they trying to
Um, I
accomplish?
I don't know. I don't want, just because they're dark and they're shadowy, I don't like to just instantly jump on things as evil. So I
Right.
am not automatically judgmental on things because I don't know what they are. So I am like, so many doors. I mean, we'll get to those parts, but so many keys and doors have been given to me and opened up because I am helpful. I help people cross over. Destruction is easy. Communication is key. And because I am, although I can destroy some
Yeah.
pretty powerful things, I choose communication first, give them the exit, allow them to leave first, and then we'll get down that. So my next my next phase in life, I believe I was 6 years old, and we went to upstate New York to visit my aunt and uncle and kids, and they happened to live right across the street from a cemetery. So I'm like, cool. I had an attraction to cemeteries for some ungodly reason. And so I, I walk across the street and I see this little so I was born in 62. So I was probably around the age of Vietnam. And here's a little toy soldier on a grave. And I'm like, well, this guy's dead. He doesn't need it. I'll play with this soldier. So
Right.
yours truly took the soldier home. So I'm laying on my back and I get past the dark shadow people and picking up the elephants. And now I'm probably in REM sleep or one of those things. And all of a sudden, something disturbs my sleep. You stole something that doesn't belong to you. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't steal. You stole my soldier. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll bring
Poop.
it back.
Poop.
Oh,
Oh, poop.
Okay, the next day, you didn't bring my you didn't bring my soldier back. Oh, I'm just a little kid. We come up on the weekends. The next day, you're not here. I'm like, I told you the weekend is not here. Then the weekend came, and the next day, and finally, it was like 2 weeks in. Longest 2 weeks of my life. At the age of 6, you shouldn't be remembering stuff this strong. And I'm
Yeah.
just crying in my sleep. I'm sorry. I'm just a little kid. I didn't mean to steal it. I can't
Spirits
drive.
don't, yeah, spirits don't actually know any of this. They're not aware. And of course, because we're kids, sometimes it does get fearful. So some of us have that fearful type experience. But yeah, I
So
understand that.
I don't know whether he found a heart and stopped, or whether somebody above his ranking who was watching over me said, "Enough's enough, cut it out." So I never figured out which one of those avenues. I was just happy that the avenue did
Now,
stop.
this conversation you were having with him, were you semi asleep, asleep? Did you
Oh,
hit REM?
I was totally in sleep zone, so
Okay,
I
so
was
you were
not
in
awake.
REM sleep when this was happening.
I was in REM sleep, or one of those sleeps after I've already gotten myself through the dark shadow people and picking up the elephants and
Right.
went la la land in protection. He pierced that bubble. Came right on in.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, a lot of kids do have those issues. Did you going back to when you were 3, did you ever figure out what the shadows were now that you're
No,
older?
I've continued to see shadows um further on in life. I do know that they can come. So although you have shadows, they can still be
Mhm.
coming from different dimensions. So you
Yes.
can have shadows that I believe are just trapped souls stuck here. And then you
Yeah.
can have ones that are pretty damn nasty. We'll move
Yeah.
forward to that one. Hopefully we can get to there. Where Ed and Lorraine Warren, I guess a bunch of people called them and told them that my restaurant was having a lot of activity. And there was some darker than dark shadows
We're
there.
gonna
And
get to that. We want to hear about that. We're gonna
yeah.
get to that. Okay, so now we're at the age of
Now
6.
we're at the age of 6.
Right.
So I'm gonna say nothing really extremely important happened, besides having some life turning tragic situations that shouldn't happen to a child. We'll just say that my bubble was bursted. You know,
Yeah.
thank God, not bursted in one way, bursted in another way. If
Right.
that you read between the lines, I was I was tampered with.
Yeah. See, yeah,
So
things
that
like
but
that. Anything that has to do with us and our guardian and our protection. That's like one thing right there. Probably why you do what you do. That's one of the
Mhm.
reasons. But I know there's more. I can feel it right now. I can feel there's more why
Oh,
you do what you do.
oh,
So I know
it
there's
gets
more.
it gets
When
better.
we get up
So then
to that, we have the
I
traumatic
get
event, and then
right. So I guess
after
we
this,
can.
we get through this. Where are we going from here?
So from there, I think I got very mad at God. So I was an extremely rebellious sob. I was in actually a fairly prominent neighborhood. My stepfather was trying to have us live beyond our means, and in that neighborhood, it gave me a lot of fighting skills. But I think a lot of them were naturally instilled because I'm 62 now, but let's just say that I could have easily have been one of the 300, the Greek warriors, very easily. I to stand by that. Let's just say when I was in the military, they approached me with plain clothes and wanted to be in Delta Force. So I
Ah,
am
network
I
director just popped on. I don't know if Howie's going to come in and chat or not yet. But Howie, you're
I
more than welcome to. I seen the network director pop on the board here. So
I
he was
am
also in the military. Now you
I
were
am
where
go
were
ahead.
you stationed in the military?
So I did most of my time in Budigen, Germany. So I started
Mhm.
off at Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training, maxed
Yeah,
all my physical fitness tests. And so the max is 300 points. And I just dinged them all out like ringing a bell, 300.
right.
And went overseas. And I thought I was, well, so when I got out of the army, when I got out of high school, I had to be my own man. So I took the ASVAB test, and my scores were pretty darn good. So they were like, "What do
Okay.
you want to be?
So
You
for
can be
those
anything."
of us that don't know what that test is, what is that test?
It's a military test that finds out it will it scopes all these different areas to find out what you would be the best puzzle fit for. So it is a book of different tests that covers a variety of different jobs. In the military, they call it MOSs. It's your job area, what you could fit in, what you would be good at. And
Kind of
I
like college
scored
tracks,
what's that?
like college SATs to
Right,
figure out. Yeah,
like a college SAT, correct?
right.
Something like that. And so I did very, very well. And they're like, "Oh, you could be an air traffic control person." I'm like, "Yeah, well, how long would it take to get that?" "Oh, 6 months before training." So, I want the soonest thing that opens up. They're like, "What?" I says, "I've got to be my own man. I want the soonest thing that opens up." They're like, "How's a 64 Charlie?" I'm like, "Well, what is that?" Like, "Oh, motor transportation. You can be driving tractor trailers across Europe and get a good view of it." So I'm like, sold. So I wasn't even I think 10 days, and I was
Yeah.
in New Haven taking the test, and next thing you know, I'm off to Fort Knox for military training, and then they stuck me in Germany. But that's not the whole spiritual realm stuff. So we'll skip. Let's just say that I was the best of the best. And
Yeah,
when
but
they
as
confront
far
when they
as I'm sorry, it's like I'm used to just getting these ideas off my head. But sometimes our experiences and things we've been through, even if they're not spiritual, create who we are and why
Right.
we do what we do. Things that
So
happen to
I I appreciate rewards. And I think I appreciate rewards because I was born a bastard child whose father denied him as being his all the way to having a DNA test done on me at the age of 28, and then
right.
even taking to his grave, telling the rest of my siblings that he wasn't my father. My mother never once said she loved me in her whole entire life. So there
Oh,
was
wow.
a big void with me wanting to do better, to be better, to show people that there's more to life. I mean, don't get me wrong, she covered all the bases. I mean, she
Right.
taught me how to hold a fork correctly, how to speak correctly. Can't write for shit, but I
Poop,
can speak fairly
poop,
well.
poop. Sorry,
Poop, poop,
can't say
poop,
those
poop.
other words. We get in trouble.
Your warning said that at the beginning. I heard it. My
Yeah.
my guess my guess might come up with some garbage out of their mouth.
Yeah. I always correct it. I can't help it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So
that's
apparently I was
Odell in the background there.
when they confronted me, they let me know that I was in the top 1% of the top 1% in the whole military. So when I ended up in Germany, I wasn't in a tractor trailer company. I was on the front lines of what's called the Folder Gap in a tank outfit. So I'm like, well, heck, if you're gonna put me on the front lines doing this, I'm gonna see what else I can do to push myself further. So before I
Right.
got done with my 2 years in Germany, I had more medals on my chest than people who were in there for 15 years as staff sergeants. So when I came stateside, they were all like, "You better have paperwork for all that stuff." So I joined marksmanship teams. I joined what's called Bolschlager team, which was NATO
Right.
competition teams. I tried out for everything. I would jump on teams that was already started for 8 months, and I'd knock off the number one A list candidates, and they'd move them to the B team. And boy, the dirty looks I got. So I could. So it takes the average soldier 3 seconds to take his rifle, acquire a target, squeeze
Yeah.
the trigger, shoot, and hit it. I can do it in probably about a quarter second. So
Ah,
I'm knocking down like 4 to 5 targets at the same time. Somebody else is knocking down one. And I got all my practice with that with competing against my cousins with shotgun shells on branches. I'd shoot the shells down with a 22 and they'd have a shotgun. They would beat me, but only by like a shell or two, which is not too darn bad.
yeah. I had a BB gun as a kid, but no, I wanted to join the military because my uncle was in it. He was in the Marines. I wanted to actually join the Navy. My father wouldn't let me back then. No, misnomer girls can't. Back then, this is the way my dad was. He was a little old fashioned. Tammy here. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Cindy. How are we doing here today? We happen to have a birthday on the network today. So we have a network birthday. So I am not sure if that's what oh, sorry. Yeah, so we have a birthday here. Please excuse me, kitty cat. So I don't know if the network director is going to come on. So if the network director chooses to come on to say the happy birthday and we get interrupted in the middle, that's what's going on, because he might come on to say happy birthday to our newly acquired host. So just to let you know that. So the military was something, because my uncle was, oh God, what do you call it? Construction battalion. That's what he was. So I guess after you guys knocked it down, he went in and rebuilt it.
So he was with what? So he was with what branch?
I don't remember. I can't
So
ask him. Well, I could, but I'd have to channel him. But
if he was in the Navy or the Air Force, I think they call him CBs.
Navy. Yes.
CB.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually still have his blanket. I actually still have his military blanket. Wow. Might be bad memories for him, but good memories for me. So did you have any paranormal type experiences there? Any like bad feelings? Because sometimes when you're in another area, another atmosphere, some of these like older buildings, and I don't know if you had time, but sometimes these older buildings will have like energy to it that's not always good, not always bad.
No, but I've always had the sense, and it's funny how if you ever go to a hospital or anything, they'll say something like, "Do you ever feel like people are watching you?" So I always knew when somebody was watching, and my gifts would tell me exactly where to look. So at one point, I was in the military, and I looked right off into the distance, almost like on a horizon, and there was a car right there, just perched right there, overlooking our base, scoping everything, seeing what everything is. So I'm very. So I'm a sensitive. I'm an empath. I'm an intuitive. I think I shut off the audibles for the most part, unless I take a 420, and then the audibles will want to come zooming in.
Yeah, I gotta I gotta tell them, guys, I'm sleeping, not now. Business hours are between. Literally, that's what I just kept saying over and over and over in my head. So I mean, it's as an empath, I want to ask you this, because I'm an empath as well. When my gifts like went boom with the empath abilities, I literally had to wear gloves in public, because I also have psychometry. Because of the empath and the psychometry, I couldn't touch things. So being like in a crowd, do you have issues with that as well?
So I've learned. So the best advice I have for empaths is keep your head up, smile, make eye contact, because there is so much evil out there, and people feel that they want to have the upper hand, that when you look your eyes down, they will focus more on you as prey, weak, are you too good, this, that, the other. You can change the vibration of any field you're in by just raising your head, smiling, and being confident. Don't look, I know it can be overwhelming at times. You have to plow through that overwhelming and just make it happen. I swear I was a introvert when I was younger, and I forced myself to be an extrovert. So now I have forced speech. I'm in your face. I'm very, very, fast, rapid speech, because I think I've just projected myself into the extrovert role, that now I'm just an extrovert. I'm extremely in your face.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit of both, because I'm very creative. So when I create, I have to do that by myself. When I'm in the creative mode, I'm in like the zone, so to speak, and there's nobody over here. It's like I can see you, but I'm not paying attention to you. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna focus on my stuff, So, but some people do, like as far as crowds. Same here. Howie says same here. You know what I want to say right off the bat, guys, before we go any further, before I forget, I want to say a very, very happy birthday to Christine Coleman, who is Uncharted Realms. You guys can see her tomorrow night on Uncharted Realms right here on the network. So definitely look her up. Wish her a belated happy birthday, in case you can't wish her a birthday on her thing. So, Miss Heidi is here as well. Let's see. I forced myself into self energy, is what Howie says, Mr. Odell. Says he forced himself into forced energy, self energy. Meaning, what's self energy? You mean you? I'm sorry, that confuses me. Ed, help me out here. Howie, sorry. Hello, Heidi. How are you doing? Yeah. So as far as energy, you're taking. Oh, so when? Okay. So now we have the abilities as far as what you were seeing. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when did you start the hearing aspect, or did the what came next? The empath, the
No,
hearing.
the hearing came next with being a teenager and sampling weed. So with and that also it amplifies my gifts like 100 times fold. It's kind of like the
Right.
doors swing all full wide open, and then you're like shut the door, but it's too late. You can't. You went ahead and played around and opened the doors.
Yes,
So
because you got to figure Native Americans use peyote. For
right.
those that don't know, they use peyote when they go on their dream walks. So there's really kind of no difference. I know that. I got
But
a native in the other room.
right.
My own little Indians in the other room. So,
So
but
the
yeah, they use
one
peyote. It helps with the spirit walks. I get that.
one particular night I'm walking in, I could feel people in the other realms on the right side of the road, people in the other realms on the left side of the road. So I'm walking on the line. I'm like, look, this is the best I can do. I'm walking the center of the line. So now all of a sudden, so through my years of learning experiences, there's white witches, there's dark witches, there's gray
Hmm.
witches, there's other stuff.
Yep.
So I start hearing dark witches, a multitude of them, all
Right.
chanting, trying to disturb and interrupt into my energy field. And I knew it was a spiritual attack. And I just buckled up and I said, it's gonna take 1,000 of you to penetrate this. And then cats
Mm.
all around the place started screaming and going nuts, and dogs were barking. And I'm like, yeah, this is a little different.
Yeah. See, true witches do not believe in or worship um Satan. They don't believe in negative at all. So that a true witch doesn't. But certain practitioners will take their energy to the dark side. And that's what happens. You got to figure it's the soul of the person. It's the same thing with a reverend. It's the same thing with anybody in any walks of life, a doctor, a police, it doesn't matter. It's where you're taking your energy. You could take it and walk on the dark side, which probably isn't going to be pretty, or you could take it and help people and walk on the light side. So it's both ways. Ed says self energy, encouraging self to grow and to understand, to find a positive life force within, to create energy bubble, which I agree with that, to create an energy bubble surrounding me to change the energy around me, inner force. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was from Mr. Odell. So now you've got, and don't worry, I talk a lot and I jump subjects. You'll get used to it. You'll enjoy me. I'm a goofball. So then we got, this is all about lighting people's way, and I just choose to do it with a touch of humor. So we have the seeing, which started when you were young. Then we have the hearing. What comes after this?
It's gonna sound like I need medications.
Nah.
Finding out that AI or secret societies have the abilities to do communications through a TV right into your room, and that was
Telepathy. Telepathy. Yeah.
and that was in the early '80s. So I was way ahead of the curve.
So were you jumping into the future, or were you
Uh,
hearing the
well,
messages coming through the
I do
radio?
see things. I do see things in the future, but I'm talking about humano communication back and forth through the TV.
Ah.
So they just now are trying to say that they just caught our brain wavelength, and you can put a phone next to your bed, and it'll tell you what time you go into your REM sleep and what time you went into this sleep and how long.
Yeah.
So our brain is a wavelength, and whenever they
Right.
say whenever they tell you that they have information on something, they're already there 20 years earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I do believe I'm very big on conspiracy theories and things like that. So yeah, I'm really big on that because I do believe that most of the stuff you got to look at it. If you look at, oh God, Egypt, those I had a guy a couple of times on my show. I'll have to get in touch with him. Literally take through the tunnels of Egypt. Do you know when you look at them, you see tablets? you see cell phones, you see them riding scooters, you see like little spaceships. Dude, seriously, hello, wake up type situation,
I used to not hold my sleeping visions with as much credibility as my awakened visions until they started coming to fruition on TV. Then I was like, well, maybe I can hold my sleeping visions with more credibility. One
Yes.
of my first sleeping visions, so I found out that I can look through the eyes of other people in the future. So I didn't realize that I was looking through the eyes of somebody else and I was murdering this girl on these steps. And I woke up crying. I was like, I would never murder anybody. Why would you show me this here? About 7 years later, a girl was murdered on these steps at Holy Land, USA in Waterbury, Connecticut.
So you were
So that was,
jumping into the person
I was
of the
jumping into the
future.
person years in advance in the future. Yes.
Huh. I've heard of
That's it.
visions like that. I've heard of
Right.
visions where you're actually jumping into what's happening, so you're not able to fully see everything that's happening.
So now that I've had, I don't care if I sound crazy or look crazy. Now that if I get dreams, I post them, which I need to post one of my latest ones, which was just crazy. Interdimensional beings coming through little black swirly portals and
Yep.
stepping through, looking like officers and looking like soldiers to
Already
get
there.
to get footings here.
Yes.
Oh, we usually already there. What? I don't want to start getting like I do off of tangents, but I literally had the Holy Spirit in my vessel for 30 days straight, using my vocal cords to give people messages. Transformers were blowing up over my head, and I watched a reptilian decloak before my eyes. I never even knew what the heck a reptilian was. I had to reverse engineer that one.
Yep. And once you see them, you can't go back to seeing them the way that they're false projected. You can't.
Right?
I had a thought
It's
in
like,
my brain when you said something, and it just went whoosh, there it goes.
are
It's like,
they
I don't know.
cold blooded? Are they warm blooded? Because if they'd have to be warm blooded, otherwise we'd be able to sense them with so many other different simple ways.
Well, there's as far as dealing with what I like to call extraterrestrials, because some of them were here before us. They've been here for a long time. Others
I
come
believe
and
that.
go. It's one of the things as far as the extraterrestrials. But with as far as them, they have cloaks. They have cloaks. But once you
Right.
get through their cloaks, you can't not see who they really are. There's no way for our brains to go back and say, okay, that's just a picture of a person. Once you acknowledge the actual we'll say reptilian, once you see them as a reptilian, you can't see them as the man or woman that they're projecting to other people. I do know that. Done a lot of research on that one. As far as where that is, if I find that guy, I'll see if I can get him back on the show so he could show you guys, but it was on the other account that was hacked, Heidi. She's asking about the Egyptian thing there. So, but yeah, I do believe that. I mean, I do believe. And as far as like the portals, there's a lot of them. Now, I don't know. You do house cleansings, right? And house inspections. We'll get back to this in a minute. Right.
I am able with my connections to do
Right.
house cleansings, people cleansings, jewelry cleansings, cleansing everything anywhere in distance is no problem. I can actually share my gifts through video and audible live anywhere around the world.
Oh, there's a name for that. I'm having a brain fart. Help me out, people. There's a name for that.
And I'm not talking about astral projecting.
Nope,
because
this is different. There's a name for that. Heidi Floyd can figure it out and tell me. I can't remember the name for it, but I know there's a name for that. The reason I asked is because I had a case in Pennsylvania many years ago, back before I couldn't carry all the equipment that I had with me. But I had a case in Pennsylvania. There is a literal portal inside her house.
I've got one in my bedroom.
So many different types of energies were coming going. There was a portal to the past, and there was a portal coming from another dimension. So she had multiple portals with different types of energy in there, and I'm pretty sure it's still active today. If you ever run across multi portals in a situation where you're trying to clear a house up,
so the only so my gift of sight to actually see the portals usually only kicked in between 3 a.m. and 10 a.m.
oh,
I've witnessed spiritual battle in my room which will knock your socks off. I posted like that on Facebook, and people are like, didn't you want to wake up out of that dream? And I'm like, it wasn't a dream. I was awake. I mean, so now they come out of the proverbial closet. I've got a lot of other
Yep.
gifted friends
Yep.
in my friends list. So one of them was telling me about how she's working with her kid and how he's gifted. So I wake up one evening and I see this little critter that looks like Edward Scissorhands, but small at the side of my bed. And I'm like, oh, that must be her son. We were just talking about him earlier today. So
I
he's
seen
probably
a
just
movie
wanting
like
to
that a
show
couple
off
days
his
ago.
he's just trying to play around. So I put my finger out towards him, and his little Edward Scissorhands takes a little clip off of my finger and takes it and gives me the look like, my precious. I'm like, oh shit, that ain't no little kid. That's something freaking evil. Then all of a sudden, I see this white, bright rod descending sideways from my ceiling, coming down. And I'm like, what the heck? As I'm watching this come down, it was like if you were to take a big, tall glass of water and stir it to make a cyclone. This
Yes.
energy cyclone started coming out of it, going right down to this little Edward Scissorhands. And it's like, yeah, you can't have that little precious. That's not yours. So this thing is taking the little precious from him. Now all of a
Yep.
sudden I see a little photon torpedo take off from the side of my bed, heading towards the bottom of my bed. I look down and there's two humanoids in freaking military stance, like on their knees, one leg up, one leg down, firing these freaking futuristic photons at two people at the bottom of my bed. And I'm like, what the heck is going on in here? I got a
How old
spiritual
were
warfare
you?
back. Oh, I was probably 42.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
We're
you
not
can't
talking
say,
about
damn, I was a kid.
no, we're not talking about no, I've had a very, very, very active life. So I mean I've got stories. I woke up, I found myself on a table after watching a UFO, this, that, and the other. I found myself on a table with grays around me. And I could tell that they were about to do some junk. So I figured, well, let me cry. Maybe they'll have a freaking heart and they won't do what they're gonna do. I don't know if do you see this line right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. After that night, I had a pinkish line where
Yeah.
they did a cranial opening for freaking years. I mean, there was
Yeah.
no blood, there was no scabbing. It was just a pinkish freaking line. So I figured if I tried, they'd stop doing what they're doing. Oh hell no, no sense,
They
no
don't. They don't
remorse,
stop.
no nothing.
They come
Just
and they take what they want.
we're going in, and I have a
Yeah.
funny feeling it's because I believe I was chosen. I don't know. They call them star seeds, light workers. Call it what you will. I love your lighthouse on there because I've had people come through and working with other gifted people, the gifted sight and mediums. They can see my light. It is extremely bright and they gravitate towards it. And I'm thinking that these reptilians caught on to it way before I knew I was gonna be special and was like, well, what do we have here? You know?
Look, pretty light. Let's go find it. Yeah, I'm an abductee as well, so I understand that. So
But
remote
aren't they?
viewing, that's what the word I was looking for. It's called remote viewing. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, but
That word.
I'm not talking about remote viewing.
Oh, I'm
So
talking back to the other
right, no,
conversation.
right. So there was a person that so ironically there was a general of the United States Army that was in control of remote viewing. So if anybody was to go to my profile, Steve Biff Saunders, and search his name, you'll see me at the side of his bed laying hands on him. So I'm also a faith healer. We're north of 5,000 miracles from 4 states cancer. So we don't just do cleansings. I am blessed beyond many of man's comprehensions. So he was
said like a moth to flame.
I am, and I can't help myself. I am like a freaking. So the first 2 years, so I'm gonna say I was 30. Had my daughter 34. So probably 39, 40 years old. I went through a nasty divorce that traumatized me so hard that my leg was going Roger Rabbit, and that's when the Holy Spirit literally descended down upon me. That's when I went from the defense. So before that, I was seeing stuff, and I was like, and I walked through the valley of death, I will fear no evil. After that, I was like, come out, wherever you are. I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah,
was
and that's understandable. This is the stuff I was talking about earlier before we came on. People don't understand why certain people react a certain way. And there's always a reason. Like you have a reason because of what you've been through. I have a reason to act like I do. So, and that's what this network was built on, was allowing everybody to have their voice and explain their story. And I love that. Now, was that before or after the restaurant? Because I'm going to ask about that.
So the restaurant, I bought the restaurant when I was 28. I bought it in
Okay.
1991. The phone rang, I want to say in 1992, and there's a lady on the other end that says, is the owner there? And I'm like, speaking. She goes, sir, do you have activity going on in your restaurant? I'm like, ma'am, I have 3 banquet halls. Of course I do. Oh, no, sir, not that kind of activity. The supernatural. I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're aware of it? Yeah. She goes, well, we've got many calls from different people saying that there's stuff going on there. My name is Lorraine Warren. My husband's name is Ed, and we
Yeah.
do paranormal investigations. Do you mind if we come out? So we line it up, and they come out on a weekday after midnight, so the place is pretty much desolate.
Yeah.
And she shows up in the middle banquet room, and she breaks out her note binder, and she starts off with cameraman number 1, cameraman number 1, camera batteries are dead, EVP meter's dead. Cameraman number 2, camera number 2, this camera battery's dead, this meter's dead. Cameraman number 3, camera number
Yeah.
3, battery's dead. I'm like, Lorraine, you think maybe you should charge your batteries before you show up? She
Yeah, it
looked
doesn't
at me
matter.
and freaking snapped on me. She was like, Mr. Saunders, are you aware that we have a checklist before we leave our shop? Are you aware
Yeah.
that everything's fully charged? So this was spirituality 101. At this point, I'm 29 years old.
Yeah.
Never told anybody boo. I just had to
Yeah.
keep repeating in my head, I'm not crazy, I'm not crazy. And just, stable myself in my shoes. And so then she's like, take me to the hot spot. I'm like, the hot spot? Yeah, where you feel things. So I take her to one spot and I feel things. And she looks at me and she goes, is there another spot? I'm like, yeah. I take her to the other spot. She looks at me and I guess she let her gifts activate because she just went, oh my God, you're a sensitive. And I
Yeah.
responded with, I know I'm sensitive. She goes, no, not sensitive. I had no idea. This was at the I was still hiding in the closet. I didn't know these gifts had names.
Yeah.
So it's funny in hindsight. I
It's
had
always
no
funny
clue.
after it happens, not while
Yeah,
it's
right.
happening. But yeah, it's always
So
funny that way.
she starts freaking out and she's looking around and Ed is like, are you okay? She goes, yeah, but there's a lot of activity in here. And she looks at me and she goes, oh my God, you're a portal. I said, what? She goes, you are a walking portal. You need to find God. You need to protect yourself. You have no idea what you can be bringing through. And little did I know how that stuck in my head when she said that. Because
Yeah.
when I came out of the proverbial closet working with other gifted people with the gift of sight 24/7, all these things are gravitating and coming through, staring at me. And they're like, people are just coming through staring at you. I'm like, well, let's talk to them. I don't want them to know I can see them because then they won't leave me alone. I'm like, cut it out. Let's get experience here. So one of these times
Yeah.
was with this extremely gifted individual, but she loves to channel. She'll bring in all sorts of different things that I can learn
I
through.
only met her on the phone. I was called in, me and the team back in the time. It was Keith and Carl Johnson. If you go back into, remember the Conjuring movie? Okay, Keith and Carl Johnson were the original team that were in with oh God, I forgot the name of the house that was there. They came in and then they called Lorraine and Ed Warren in because there was more activity than they could actually deal with the house in Rhode Island. So he knew them for a long time. So I actually heard her. He spoke on the phone a couple times, but as far as in person, I didn't know her. But I like her because she's blunt, but she's sweet at the same time. I like blunt people. I'd rather have that. Don't beat around the bush with me. Just go right down the middle lane. I think, I do have a tendency to say that to YouTube videos. Get to the point. Come on. Let's go get to the point is what I like to do. So all this activity in this restaurant, and she's telling you you're a portal.
Yes.
Okay. So, and you're going, what the heck? What the heck? What the heck? What happens now?
So what happens now is that she freaks out, tells the cameraman to get the tripod, plug it in because the batteries are dead, gives me a 15-minute interview, and
Yeah.
I discuss topics of like a secret organization bringing me into this one house. Where back in 1991, you didn't have communication two ways with a TV,
No,
and
you
they
didn't.
were had this going on while they were watching me and analyzing me and having me watch videos and tell them when I would kick up what's going to happen in time it was happening. So when I started this video, so they swore to people that was in there. There was a half a dozen people that was allowed to be in the room while they did this to me, that were sworn to secrecy to sit on the around this table that couldn't
Right.
make a word. I watched them tinkering around behind the TV, adjusting something on top of the TV, which now I know would be a cam eye. But
Yeah.
back then I had no idea what they were facing at me because it hadn't come out yet. Right? And at that point, they were running cable down the stairs, and I didn't know, that it was years before it was to come out. So they're like, we're going to have you watch this little video clip, and we want you to tell us exactly what you think is going to happen as fast as you can. Do you understand? I'm like, yeah. So the first image that comes on the screen when they hit play is like a whaling boat, a big
Yeah.
white boat, and there's
Yep.
about 8 people in this whaling boat. It's in an ocean. It came on, and after the first wave went by, it wasn't even 1 full second, and I said it's taking on water. So the girl who lined it up, she lined it up with her brother and all these other people. He was high in the high tech field, and
Right.
she screamed, "He had to see this movie before." They snapped on her. We told you silence. One outbreak from you again, and you're out of here. But I lined all of this up. I don't care. He looked at me. He said, "Did you ever see this before?" "No, I've never witnessed this video before."
Right.
Okay. They put the tape in. So I learned this here because as a child, I pushed everything to the limits, all the way into adulthood. So as a child, when I was 4 years old in the tub, I pretend like I was freaking the freaking king of the ocean. What's his name? Poseidon. So
Aquaman or Poseidon, yeah.
I'm talking about Poseidon. I'm
Poseidon.
crashing and sinking ships. So I got all my boats in the water, and I'm smacking my legs together, making these giant waves to watch them take on water. And I'm analyzing the buoyancy and how fast it's going to take them to sink as they're going down. So as
Right.
soon as the wave did what it did, I knew it was already taking on water. It took another 3 minutes before the water was coming up, coming up, coming up, and before it came to the top wooden lip, then they changed the scene to the next thing. But nobody in the boat showed any expressions of it taking on water. It's like us as a society going down. It's like
Yeah.
we're all the people that are supposed to be sounding the alarm bells. Well, where are they? They're medicating them all. We have a ton of you've got a lot of the people that are in here watching are gifted and are lucky that they haven't been caught with the net, medicated, and kept from being allowed to share their gifts. I mean, I kept my mouth shut when I was younger because it's not as open as it is now. Now I'm at the age I went to a nasty divorce, and she said I was crazy, so they made me take 2 psychological evaluations. So now I'm a pedigree. I got 2 clean bill of health. See, I am sane.
I was diagnosed with clairvoyancy when I went. So I'm right there
Wow,
with you. I'm not kidding. I still have the paperwork for that. She diagnosed me with clairvoyancy. That was her
wow.
diagnosis. I
So
got
you
the
so you
paperwork
had
to prove it.
you had a very good psychiatrist because a lot of them don't believe
Well,
in
when I
half
walked
of the
in and
stuff.
told her that her husband would be okay after the surgery and she needed to stop stressing about it and explained it to her, she kind of started listening to me. I couldn't help it. When people
Right.
tell you things and you don't say it, they go and they don't leave you alone.
So you were able to on point, on spot, communicate to the heavens or to the
Yep.
other realms.
Yep.
Well, have you already asked them if they know who I am?
Nope. My
Why not?
job isn't to form an opinion. My
I
job
know that,
right
but that
here is for
I
people to
I
know
I
you.
I know that. So
Yeah.
I found out through sharing my gifts with other gifted people that
Right.
I am more well known in the heavens and the other realms than I am here on earth.
Yeah, I work in a different heaven than you, honey. Even though I'm a light worker, I'm more on the side of Odin, and you're more on the side
Well,
of
so
God.
so this is what I wanted to say
Yeah.
earlier. I noticed that you have the Viking Celtic in there. So when I
Yes.
work with my gifted friends, we bring in people like Odin. Every
Oh,
time we
yeah.
bring him in, he's laying back, having girls feeding him freaking grapes and stuff like that. You know, what are you
Yeah.
bothering me for now? You know. So no, I'm well aware that there are other gods out there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't judge people with their different paths.
No,
I'm
I
on
work
my
with all
path.
of them. That's the thing people don't understand. To me, Jesus to you is God's son. To me, he is an ascended master. Same name, just different terminology is the way I look at it. So then I deal with the Odin and Thor and Freyr and all those gods, but Jesus is still there. I call him in when I need help. I call this one in when I need help. I call that one in when I need help. So I'm more eclectic than anything else. It's just this is the belief
But
system I grew up with. There's
I
nothing wrong with that.
but I'm surprised that you didn't reach up to your guides and your connections to see if they hadn't heard of me.
No, it's just when you sent the message originally, I was told get them on the air. Okay. I don't ask questions. I just do
Wow.
what I'm
So
told.
so
This
who
is
who
my way of
who told
sharing
you?
light workers with the
So
world.
it sounds like a guide told you to get me on the air.
Yeah, they come down and tell me, and sometimes I go up there. It depends what
So
happens.
do you know which particular guide that told you to get me
Off
on
the
the air
top of
or
my
no?
head right now, I have no idea. I'm in the middle of moving. Get lucky I know where my
No, no,
coffee cup
no, but
is right now.
no, but that's cool. So whoever you are, I tip my hat to you and thank you.
They just tell me to do something because I'm a light worker. I'm meant to bring as many light worker people as possible to the forefront to let people know that they're there. This is what I do. This is why Beacon in the Dark, when I talked to Ed about the idea for the show, this is the reason for this section of the show is to bring these people out of the background into the forefront, because the more of us that are out there, the more that we're sharing our light, our positivity, helping, healing the earth, getting the knowledge and literally building up people, because sometimes I teach on here to build people up, to help bring that inner light out in them. The stronger we're going to be as people, the stronger the earth will be as
Collectively,
well. Yep.
so I've got a few audibles when Source was down upon me, and one of them was you all have a piece of the puzzle, but until you bring your pieces of the puzzle together, you
Yep.
will not have a full understanding. So with all
Yes.
the audibles and visuals I got, I changed my religious status from Roman Catholic to spiritual. And then I got a lot of people that jumped out of the closet. Oh my God, you don't believe in this? Oh no. I still believe in the creator, but it's just not for. So one of the messages that really got me to jump on a different path was I planted you as a seed and the seed took root. As this sapling started to grow out, branches started to grow off of it. These
Yep.
branches signify these different religions. On these
Exactly.
branches were multitudes of leaves signifying the people in these different religions. Now look
Exactly.
at you at the top of this mighty tree. You can no longer see the foundation from which I started you. I was like, whoa, that's deep.
Yggdrasil, the tree of life. It's called Yggdrasil. That's what you're talking
Right.
about. So Yggdrasil, that's the tree of life with the 9 realms. So if we have 9 realms on Yggdrasil, we don't have just one way of thinking, one religion. It doesn't matter as long as that's what we need to do as a community. And that's why when I saw you, that was my initial thing was, okay, he's got to go on. I was like, okay, he's got to go on. I don't ask. I didn't even know what you did. It was like, okay, he's got to come on. Here we go. I'll figure that part out later. So now
We
that
are
we
a
have
we are a beacon in the dark.
exactly, and that's what it is. I'm lighting the path so others, and that's it. I call myself. I guess you could call me the puzzle keeper, and I'm just collecting pieces, putting them all together. Sooner or later, we'll have a pretty picture by the time they all get here.
If you have anybody that has the gift of sight, a lot of people with the gift of sight can actually see through videos as well. So
Oh
if you
yeah,
have the gift, are you? So when you said you watched a lot of my videos, so were you
yes.
actually able to see the validity of what I was doing coming off of these people?
Yes, I can see what it is that you're doing. I can sense what you're doing. I can feel what you're doing. The issue is when people look and don't have the gifts, they can't see what we can see. So I
Right.
understand why some people might misconstrued or look at things differently. That's the easiest way to put it, because some of us need to Be open to others' perspectives, others' way of doing things. Like, let's take my baking analogy. We'll take chocolate chip cookies, guys. Okay. How many different ways can you make chocolate chip cookies? Is just one way right? Or are they all right?
Well, they're not all right because I've made some burnt ones.
Nah, 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 nah. How far you cook it does nothing to do with what you put in the recipe. So, and that's what it is. There are so many different ways of doing the same thing. Not everybody is different. Why? We're all different. Why? Because we have had different experiences. We've had different things happen to us that brought different energies to us. We have a different destiny, a different purpose, and a different way to do things. So, not everybody is going to do everything the same way. So until you experience it, all I'm telling you guys here is keep an open mind. Do not judge. Keep an open mind. Experience it for yourself. Before you see and judge, experience the whole thing. Watch a little bit. Take some notes. Absorb. So until you have all the information, then go forward. So now let's get up to everything that you do. When did you start? When did you start?
When did I? So the first healing took
Yep.
place, I believe it was in 2010. So I saw a girl on a line, and she was like friends of mine, and I saw her with a bandana on her head, and I'm like, well, why do you got that on your head? She goes, Biff, it's me. It's you. That's me, Shelly. You know, so and so sister. I'm like, oh shit, well, what's going on with you? Oh, I got cancer. I'm in my last months and stuff, or they tell me I got like a year or so to go. I'm like, well, I'm not rich. I'm like, but I'm sure you got a bucket list. Would you like to freaking get some stuff down? She goes, oh sure. So I pick her up. I take her out to the bar and a concert, and I drive her home. Next weekend, do the same thing. Third weekend, I'm like, look, I'm getting old. I'm too young to be driving you home. And, well, I don't like guys. I like girls. Don't be trying to get in. Don't be trying to get in my shorts. I'm like, look, I don't care what you'd like or don't like. I'm like, I am really tired. So next day I take her home. Next thing you know, she's like, you got a job too. I own a roofing company. I showcase anybody you didn't ask. Well, you probably already know. I don't charge for all my gifts that I share because they're not my gifts. I'm connecting to source or however you want to label it. And I feel because I am just a blessed conduit, I don't feel the right to charge for something if I'm just a vessel receiving and pushing out. But so when I pay hundreds of dollars to set up at events, I put out a basket and put a recommended donation $20 so I can help offset my costs for setting up if I'm setting up. So anyhow, so I put her to work for me. She's starting to work for me, yada yada yada. Next thing you know, she likes me. I mean, she still likes women, but she likes me. So now she's spending the night freely, and all of a sudden I'm like, I thought you liked women. Well, yeah, but you're different. Yeah. Boy, did I find out how different I am. I'm different to the demons. I'm different to this person, that person, and I'm different to ladies who like ladies. So I'm not. When I say I'm not, I'm just a giant teddy bear. But don't poke this teddy bear the wrong way because I can show you the teddy bear's claws.
Yeah,
So
that's my man. Never poke the bear. He says that all the time. Never poke the bear.
We're all up on a roof, and all of a sudden everybody's like, well, where's Shelly? Where's Shelly? And someone says she's down there with her hands on her head. So she's down there on the stairs with her hands on her head, and I go down there, I'm like, you all right? She goes, yeah, but I just got a phone call from the doctor. They pretty much said I'm out of here in less than 6 months. She had tried all the chemo, tried this, tried that, tried the other. All of her white blood cells was down. So we finished off the roof. We go home. She's got the life sucked out of her. She's laying on the bed. I lay my hands on her belly, and I looked up to the heavens, and I'm like, look, you showed me all these audibles. You showed me all these visuals. If you want to do anything through me, now would be a good time. So I coined it the gift. Have you ever had Pop Rocks candy?
I think
you put
way
the candy
back in the day. Yeah, I was never
explodes
big
in your
on
mouth.
candy.
Right.
Like once.
So it explodes in your mouth. It pops.
Yeah.
So I got my hands on her belly, and all of a sudden, these explosions are going off out of my hands.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and gives me this funny look and smiles. I'm like, you feel that? She says, you feel that? I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, it feels like I got soda bubbling in my belly. I'm like, I feel like I got Pop Rocks going off in my hands. So she goes, why did you lay your hands there? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, that's where one of my tumors are. I'm like, one of them, were the other ones? So she moves my hand to the other locations in her belly where the tumors are, and she's giggling away, and I'm just gobsmacked with freaking pop rocks exploding out of my hand. I guess he's listening. And so I'm like, do you have any other tumors anywhere else? She goes, yeah, in my brain. So I laid my hands on her head. The pop
Yeah.
rocks are still going off. She stopped smiling and giggling, and she put on this look on her face like, yeah, you don't get bubblies in your brain. So her whole face just changed up.
I'm sorry. I'm getting visuals as you're
No,
talking
right,
here.
right, right. So 2 weeks later, she goes to the doctors. I drive her there. She comes out glowing, and she's like, my blood counts are up 50%. And I'm like, wow. So I thought that this was a one and done. I figured
Right.
God heard my prayers. He worked through me, and she's done. Fast forward a few months, I'm in this cafe in Plainville, Connecticut, and God was sitting next to this older gentleman, probably in his early 70s, and well dressed, shaking like a leaf on a tree. I'm like, okay, looks like he's got Parkinson's disease. I start chatting with him a little bit, and I'm like, nice to meet you. Reaches out his hands. I take hold of his hand. I shake his hand. Everything stops dead in its tracks. He's like, wow, this is crazy. Wow, this is crazy. Wow, this is crazy. It's like, put the needle on the record. Put the needle on the record. And so the waiters, the bartenders all come over there, and they're like, are you okay, sir? Wow, this is crazy. They're like, yeah, we heard you say that. What's crazy? I'm not shaking. They're like, yeah, we saw you were shaking. How often does it stop? Well, it doesn't. What do you mean? I have Parkinson's disease. How long have you had it? 10 years. So about 10 minutes goes by, his shaking starts again. I take hold of
Wow.
his hand. Instantly stops again. I'm like,
Right.
why don't you tell me more about your life? Well, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm a honorary member of the Knights of Columbus. I was in Vietnam. Told me about his first kill. He told me about his second kill. He told me about his third kill. Before he went on further, I says, look, I said, I know you're older than me. I said, this is going to sound like I'm going to give you a homework assignment. It sounds silly. I said, but did you ask for to be absolved, or did you ask for forgiveness? He goes, oh yeah, I went to the Catholic Church. I saw a father, and he absolved me. I says, no, he's not the one that created the human beings. I want you to go home. I want you to pray and ask for forgiveness for the one that actually created them. I said, if that doesn't work, this place knows how to get a hold of me, and you get a hold of me. Never saw from him again. Never heard from him again. I'm hoping that his Parkinson's disease is over. I try to follow up by calling his order, and they're like, well, we don't give away members' information. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
tell him I'm looking for him. Give his information, give my information to him. So that was the second one. The third one, this girl calls me, like, oh, Biff, what's going on with this healing stuff? I'm like, yeah, you saw that, huh? I'm like, yeah, well, you posted about it. You put everything on Facebook. She's like, I have a tumor in my side. You think you would work on that? I said, I have no clue. So I go over her house. She has two tweens there. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to get funny with your mom. I'm just going to put my hand there because it was down near her belt line. I laid hands down there. I silently pray. And tumor half disappeared right before her eyes, and it was all completely gone the next day.
Yeah.
And that was 3. I counted up to 500. After 500, I just stopped counting. I'm north of 5,000. So
wow.
I first picked up is it okay if I talk about my stuff that happened to me, my Christian path, or you want to just evade that, or
It's just a
so
part of who you are and why
it
you
is.
became who you
So
are.
my first wife was going to be a church going virgin, so I
Yeah.
always had God in my heart. But I'm
Right.
like, well, I don't know. Haven't personally read the book. I was brought up in a Catholic school, so I did all the steps and went to church all the time from the school. We'd walk right next door to the church and go on the
Yeah.
Sundays and everything. So I went to Catholic schools. I think second, third, and fourth, or first, second, third, and fourth, like 4 years. But anyhow, oh my God, I freaking what was I trying to get at? Son of a gun. Back me up to where I was just at before I told you how I went there for 4 years.
You were talking about the Catholic school. Your wife was Catholic. You were getting into
Right,
the Catholic
the church
religion.
going virgin wife. So
Yes.
I figured I gotta learn the Bible to get a
Right.
better understanding so I can be on the same page with her. Because I wasn't really at that point going to church regularly. I just had him in my heart. And for me,
Right.
to me, being connected is your body is the church. So I started reading the book, and It is so funny because you look at all of these different paths, and you can call it whatever the heck you want. I don't choose to call what I do magic, although
Yeah.
prayers are words, and words are in a
Magic.
different branch. They'll call it
Yep.
magic, and this one they'll call it that. Catholic Church lights candles, witches light candles. These other people like it. So I'm sitting there, and in hindsight, I reverse engineer everything. So
Yeah.
I'm reverse engineering how I opened up, what I opened up. So when I got to one of the most boringest parts of the book, trying to pronounce correctly all of these old names that was in the Bible, I was invoking the ancient. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to the part where I created this and I created that, but I didn't like what this was doing. So I told that to go kill every man, woman, and child and animals. Well, they killed every man, woman, and child and the blemished animals, but they kept the unblemished animals to themselves. Well, I didn't tell them to do that. Well, I'll show them. So I closed the book. Said that can't be my God. He can't be that evil, can't be that mean. So fast.
Sorry.
So now,
I snort every
no,
now and then, guys. I'm sorry.
so that was in I want to say 84,
Right.
1984. 2005, I had the Holy Spirit descend down upon me with a nasty divorce, got audibles, visuals, the whole 9 yards. 2008, I end up behind freaking bars. Freaking, I call the police. I got beat down by a motorcycle gang. They took their words over mine because there's more of them than me. I go to jail for resisting arrest. I'm like, I called you guys. I got beat down. So you can't make this shit up. So now I'm in there
Nope.
behind. I'm in there behind effing bars, and I'm like, what? You don't want to visit me in here anymore? You don't want to give me any more audibles? Don't want to give me any more visuals? And I got an audible. Try reading my book again. And this time, do not judge me. Oh, shit. So I read the book each night. Each morning, I'm
Yeah.
getting awakened audibles and visuals. I'm getting up. I'm
Yeah.
going to the window. It's not coming from there. I'm going to the TV because you can get an electronics bleed. It's not coming from there. I'm going to the door. It's not coming from there. I lay back down. One of them was so there's one of the stories in the book is God wants them to march against their enemy and they're outnumbered like 6-1. But you're gonna have us walk into a valley? It's gonna be the valley of death. We're gonna die. We're outnumbered. Well, I want you to line up 75 by 75, 150 by 150, 250 by 250, and just march upon them. They'll flee. So when I first read the book, I'm like, yeah, what a joke. You're just ow. Your enemy's just gonna flee, drop their weapons, drop the swords, and fly. So now I've already been to the military. I took a
Yeah.
secondary to Cav Scout, which is a forward observer in 19 Delta. So
Yeah.
in our day and age, we got everything. In their day and age, all they had was their ears and their eyes.
Yep.
So with the way he had them line up and
And their
marching,
nose.
in their yeah, they know. Well, that would have got clogged. But the first thing that they did was in marching, they rose all the dust up. So all the
Yeah.
dust hid their numbers. So now their numbers are masked. The way he had them lit up and they're walking in the valley, it amplified their sound and increased their numbers. Now, this is what I'm listening to that got me to go to the door, the window, the TV. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. I'm hearing them marching. Kumbaya, my lord. Wait a minute. I sang that song in church, but I don't even know what kumbaya is. So now I had to reverse engineer. Kumbaya means come by here, and it means come by here in Swahili. So now I got to reverse engineer all the audibles and visuals that I'm getting. But yeah. So that was something.
Michelle says, what an amazing story. She said that I plopped that up a while ago. We're getting like, yeah, okay. Literally, we're getting to the end of the show. Yeah. So, and we didn't even get to the main nitty gritty of it, but hearing where you've come from and everything that you do, he does. And again, why don't you tell everybody everything you do and how people can get a hold of you?
All right. So I am like a I guess the guy who's in front doing the orchestras, but I have all of these gifts. Like I'm working in my head with all of this plethora of gifts I have to do anything is possible. So I have been able to not only terminate demons and the enemy, astral project, catch people astral projecting in my room, help people cross over. DIDS, dissociative identity disorder, is not a disease, it's a phenomena. It's an overlapping soul. We are able to bring in the loved ones from the overlapping soul where these people can witness it in their mind's eye. bringing their family members to take them off to another dimension to give them their time and being back to themselves so they have their original, I call it original copy. So I asked them to go back as old as they possibly can. What's the earliest part of your life that you remember? Because it's fighting for the light. Another very, very cool gift that I have is after cleansing the vessel, because you can't have a Trojan horse on it to open the gates of heaven or any other realms, you cleanse the vessel and you bring in their loved ones to them directly so that they see them, they talk to them. I release all my connections and they just have at it. Once you open up that line, you can have a party line. They can bring in all the other family members, and it is just freaking wild. I mean, you can't, I don't know anybody else who can do that. I got about 60 psychic medium friends that can relay messages. I don't know anybody else that can say, here's your family, like you're watching them on TV in your head and chatting with them. Lips moving, audible's there, everything's there, and you are communicating with them. Everything that I do, every platform is Steve Biff Saunders. So that's my Facebook. I most of my messengers, anything like that is on Facebook. I put everybody through a scrutiny. So if you want to connect with me and friend me or do anything, let me know that you saw this episode so that I don't have to spend 15 minutes of checking out if you're a fake profile, a real profile.
Yeah,
As
just
many
say you
people
know
have
the
to
crazy old lady.
Right. I saw you with the lighthouse.
I'm telling you. I really enjoyed having you on. I really did. We had a good conversation. I'm really hoping that the world knows why you do what you do now. And that's the biggest thing. People see these light workers and they expect everything to go a certain way. This goes here, that goes there, this goes here. No, that's going to go 3 rows back. Doesn't work that way, people. It really doesn't.
I tried to connect a lady to her lost daughter, and her ex came through, which she hated with a passion that died. And he asked her for forgiveness, and it just blew her mind. It wasn't what she wanted, but it was what she needed. And she forgave him and found peace in her heart. And so I have also been able to connect people. I've been able to connect people to their lost, aborted children and children who they've miscarried. That is mind blowing.
Yeah. Yep, it is. It really is. Michelle says this was a great show. She really enjoyed it as well. Guess what, guys? Time is up. My neighbors are going to kill me if I don't log down soon. I'm going to put you in the background here for a minute there, Biff. All right, guys. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. And don't forget Uncharted Realms tomorrow night. Check out the girls. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all of the Rift Nation Network channels. And I want to say peace. Love you guys. Stay light, stay bright.